Hi, 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 hi. I don't know if okay, live. I think I am live, and if anybody is watching this, hi, 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 hi. But क्योंकि मुझे पता नहीं है मेरी आवाज आ रही नहीं आ रही, so I gotta check it. चेक करना पड़ेगा दोस्तों. चेक कर मुंडे यानी हाइट चेक कर चेक कर. Hi, hi, hi. I am Mukesh. Thus spoke Mukesh, or you can say I am Mukesh. Apparently, yeah, not apparently, but I am. I gotta set this up a bit better. Okay, I think this is good. This is we can do this. I can search thus spoke Mukesh. As the name suggests, probably you would understand that what I mean by thus spoke Mukesh because thus spoke Mukesh. How to find myself on YouTube? This is the question, right? I must view my channel. I must just copy this. We apparently are live, so that is a good thing, and I'm just gonna watch. We apparently are live, so that is thing. Wait. I'm just pop up a video, right? What? I don't know if somebody is watching me. If anybody is watching me, it's a hi from my side. Zero people are watching. But one thing that we're gonna do is today we're gonna react to the video that I always wanted to react. That is this video.
चीजों में
This is a check
डिबेट
video.
के शुरू में ये जरूरी है
Blah 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 16 blah 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 17
कि हम ये जान लें
blah blah blah
कि
blah blah
आज
blah
के
blah
इस
blah
टॉपिक
blah blah
में
blah blah blah
कौन
blah.
सा
I'm just checking my sorry.
डिबेट के शुरू में ये जरूरी है
Blah 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 16 blah 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 17
कि हम ये जान लें
blah blah blah
कि
blah blah
आज
blah
के
blah
इस
blah
टॉपिक
blah
में
blah 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 blah
कौन
blah.
सा
I'm just checking. Okay.
ही इस बेहद जरूरी बहस में डिबेट में आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है
Now, as of now, I think the voice might be bit clear. The video, I think, is clear. You can hear it and hear me. If somebody is watching, hi, I am Mukesh Dosad, and this channel is Thus Spoke Mukesh, and I hope you are watching this video, and I hope I deliver something because we'll talk about this video. Does God exist? If you are from Indian subcontinent and you have watched this video or heard about it because it came into a lot of uh, mainstream attention because of this one word named contingency theory between the debate between Javed Akhtar Saab and Mufti Shamil, who both are Muslim by their virtue of faith, but Javed Akhtar Saab is an atheist by his social understanding and his common sense. He is atheist by that sense and a very uh, open atheist, I would say. And Mufti Shamil Nadwi, as the name suggests itself, Mufti, he is a religious figure, and he believes in the existence of God. And we will, and this guy is Saurabh Dwivedi. He used to be the editor in chief of this channel named London Top, and today we will listen to this and give our 2 cents on this whole debate on the existence of God. And we will just skip this part and we just enter into whatever they have to argue right from this part, I guess. Thank you.
एक आपकी गुजारिश मुझसे आप बोलना शुरू करें आप लोग प्लीज अपने फोन फ्लाइट मोड पे या साइलेंट मोड पे रखें एक बार चेक कर ले कई बार बेध्यानी हो जाती है
तमाम तारीफ़ें उस क्रिएटर के लिए जिसने इस यूनिवर्स को एक मकसद के तहत पैदा किया है। रिस्पेक्टेड जनाब जावेद अख्तर साहब, मिस्टर सौरभ द्विवेदी और रिस्पेक्टेड ऑडियंस, थैंक यू ऑल फॉर बीइंग हियर टुडे। आज की डिबेट में चूंकि हम बात करने वाले हैं डज गॉड एग्जिस्ट के टॉपिक पर, तो ये एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जिसके मुताल्लिक कोई भी डिसीजन लेने के लिए अलग अलग स्टैंडर्ड्स हो सकते हैं। लिहाजा डिबेट के शुरू में ये ज़रूरी है कि हम ये जान लें कि आज के इस टॉपिक में कौन सा स्टैंडर्ड सही होगा और कौन सा गलत होगा। सबसे पहला स्टैंडर्ड जिसे मैं समझता हूं कि हमारे रिस्पेक्टेड जनाब जावेद अख्तर साहब बड़ी तेजी के साथ उसकी तरफ लपकेंगे, वो है साइंस। जबकि साइंस दर हकीकत खुदा के एग्जिस्टेंस को डायरेक्टली साबित करने या उसके एग्जिस्टेंस को डिनाई करने के लिए स्टैंडर्ड नहीं बन सकती।
I would argue on this. I do believe that God, the very idea of God, we cannot debate it by one thing that is science. Yes, true, you are being real. You cannot argue because, and the very reason that you cannot argue for existence and non-existence of God by science, because God is a protected being. God, because if I go and say that, like in the earlier ancient religions, the thunders, the wind, the storms were God. Like if you go to Rig Veda, in Hindu culture, you find that, oh, who is God? God is Indra. Indra is a supreme being. And what Indra is? Indra is a manifestation of thunder. What is Zeus? Zeus is manifestation of thunder, the god of sky, right? Then you go on these, find that these natural phenomenons were thought to be God. Now we have found explanation. Oh, these are not God. These are just natural phenomena which happen because it's natural. It happens as a part of nature. So it does not to a deistic idea of God, yes, we cannot argue on that, but to a theistic idea of God, that is a God from certain religion or a God of certain this and that religion that comes from Hindu God or a God from Greek mythology or a God from this and that religion and tradition, you would understand that science does play a fact in understanding what a God is, and this is not a God, right? So it does deny it, but I will take it if we are gonna talk about God as a god, not a religious god, then I think does make sense at least to a extent. Yeah. And before we just move forward, I just want to check if the voice is still coming because I think is clear. You can hear it and hear me as a continued between the debate between Javed Akhtar Saab and Mufti Shamil. Or these are just natural phenomena which happen because it's a supreme being
एग्जिस्टेंस को डायरेक्टली साबित करने या उसके एग्जिस्टेंस को
the manifestation of thunder. What is Zeus? Zeus manifestation of thunder. I think I am audible enough. And, well, there currently are no viewers, so it does not really matter, but I think it would matter at certain times. So yeah.
और उसकी वजह क्या है ये मैं नहीं कह रहा, ये वो लोग कह रहे हैं जो साइंस के एक्सपर्ट्स हैं। नेशनल एकेडमी ऑफ साइंस कहती है साइंस डजंट हैव द प्रोसेसेस टू प्रूव और डिसप्रूव द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ गॉड। व्हाई?
Yeah, that is what I said. You cannot disprove or prove a thing that you cannot by any scientific phenomena or any human faculty. You cannot see or identify. That is I'm arguing because God is a protected being. Like if today I come on and say that there is this thing which cannot be seen, cannot be touched by any, there is no scientific rigor, there is no human faculty by which you can find it. How is science gonna find it? That is the say simple argument to it. There is nothing much more deep to it, and that's why science or any idea of rationale that you put into it cannot make you believe. If I say that there is this thing that doesn't exist and cannot be seen or by any human faculty or scientific figure, you cannot prove its existence, but it does exist. How are you gonna do that? And that is what God is. So yeah, you quoting any scientist, anyone, does not really make your argument more logical, because the problem that exists is that we all get it. I will say this hundred of time ever, no matter how much of a disbelief I have towards this idea of existence of God. I will say this again and again, that by no virtue of matter, by no understanding, and by no rationale or no prudence, I can deny the existence of God. Because the very idea of God is a very protected being. You cannot, how can you disprove that a being doesn't exist, that cannot be seen uh, by any human faculty, by cannot be experienced by any human faculty, that you cannot question by any scientific rigor? How do you uh, prove his existence or non-existence? The very fact that you cannot prove his existence in a very objectifying, solid way talks a lot about the very idea of God, then talks about how I cannot disprove the existence of God. We will move forward now.
क्योंकि साइंस का ताल्लुक एम्पेरिकल एविडेंस से है और एम्पेरिकल एविडेंसेस का ताल्लुक हमारे नेचुरल और फिजिकल वर्ल्ड से है, जबकि गॉड नॉन फिजिकल और सुपर नेचुरल रियलिटी है। लिहाजा नॉन फिजिकल रियलिटी को आप उस टूल के साथ नहीं चेक कर सकते जिसका काम फिजिकल रियलिटी को तलाश करना है। लिहाजा आज इस डिबेट में गॉड की एग्जिस्टेंस को साबित करने या उसे डिनाई करने में साइंटिफिक एविडेंस को एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया जाएगा। दूसरा ये साबित करें कि गॉड एग्जिस्ट करता है या नहीं, लेकिन ये स्टैंडर्ड भी आज इररेलेवेंट है। क्यों? क्योंकि रेवलेशन मेरे नजदीक सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज है।
See, the very reason that you cannot use renovation, even if you use it, I cannot agree with the renovation, because renovation happens not to all people. Like, if you come to Hindu religion, you be like, oh, you go to Himalaya or some place, meditate and shit all, and you will find God. But then, if this was the exact procedure to find God, and I do the same thing, I do follow this procedure, I go to Himalaya Parvat, I meditate, leave this material world, but still there are chances, and there is not chances, there are cases where people of very certain minority have only found the god by this procedure, and a major has not. Because if this was a certified procedure to find a god, if this was certain where the god will reveal himself, then you can just argue that these people are lying, because out of 100 people, only these one people is finding the god out of revelation and whatever meditation he is doing. Then there are two possibilities: that god is a kind of a biased person who will show himself to certain people, so that does make god a very less benevolent person than he is. And or these people are just very, these are hallucinating, or are in the delusions, and that is the most probable thing I could imagine. Because if we know that there's certain way to find the revelation of god, then isn't a certain way applicable to all of us? And if it's not, then the god is biased, and one can also prudently argue that these people are lying. So using revelation is not something, because the thing is that it's very empirical in nature. And what happens with empiricalism is that you sense things, but you sense things from your own understanding and mind. So you are not seeing things from a very objective perspective, but a subjective perspective. You are experiencing it probably, but that empirical nature is not again truly objective, or in empirical in understanding. Because again, the problem with scientific empiricism is that it is objective from whatever perspective you watch, but the personal empirical nature exists only to a certain extent of our framework, our point of view. And that is why Kant was like saying that was a Kant did not agree more with Locke, empiricist, and Descartes, a rationalist. He was like, yeah, you both are right, but you both are wrong too. Because, as a simple example, if I put some color over my this, and I will see the world is bit reddish or bit yellowish or bit greenish, then the world is not reddish or greenish. Just my perspective is, my framework is. And that is why you cannot truly sense that whatever empiricism or whatever how you're perceiving the world through human faculties. But then again, you cannot just use reason, because reason is also dependent on whatever you are sensing. So, and something along the way. Yeah.
वैलिड सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज है, लेकिन हमारे जावेद अख्तर साहब के नजदीक ये वैलिड सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज नहीं है। लिहाजा आज की डिबेट में मैं एक भी एविडेंस किसी भी मजहबी स्क्रिप्चर से नहीं दूंगा।
The very problem is, and I do not agree with this, because the very reason that I know of God is, or you know of God is, because of the religious scriptures. Like, do you believe there was this one guy who came up to, I have no idea, like, oh, God exists. The very idea and inference that we all know about God, Descartes would say that I have the idea of a perfect being that God is. But I think most of people, if a child does not come up with the idea of God, we teach him the idea of God. He socialized into the understanding of a God, a Allah, a Jesus, or whatever religion or whatever culture you follow. You socialize a child into that. He does not come up to this idea that, oh, a God exists, a supreme being exists, right? So not using that understanding, that religious scripture of whatever religion you come from, or any religious scripture, makes a bit like this, which is a very bad argument, because because from my perspective, that religion should be the core of any debate when it comes to does the God exist, because that is the very crux of what a God is. Because every other God, whatever argument he will use, is going to be philosophical and theological God, which is just smartness of Thomas Aquinas to make religion or Christianity bit more philosophical in nature, so that one cannot just say, "Oh, I don't believe you." One just cannot, like, but think about it, deep about it, man. Think about it. So that, and that is that, and he will use Thomas Aquinas contingency argument, because I know about it. He's going to use that. He's popular for that, and he's going to use it in the worst possible way, and as if the contingency argument is a objective argument that proves the existence of God. But because if this was the objective argument that proves the existence of God, then we wouldn't be having this argument. We wouldn't be having this discourse. The very point of philosophical stances, these are philosophical arguments for existence of God, and do not actually truly prove the existence of God. He was very happy when he said contingency argument, when I saw in a reel that, oh, I have done it, but you have not done it. My friend, my guy, my G, will never, because using a philosophical stance in an argument also makes, you have to also understand there are counter arguments as well, which are as sound as the argument for God is, right? So these are overgoing discourses, and the very reason you have this debate today is because Thomas Aquinas couldn't find an actual objective answer to this question, does God exist? And that's why it's just there, it's just an argument. And there could be hundreds of arguments for existence of God, and hundreds of arguments countering them, and hundreds of counter to those counters, but those counters are not objective. Do not be happy if you know certain arguments for or against the existence of God. You learn more and more, increasing your idea of what God is, and that is the only way to go. Thank you. I find it funny because uh, I have a lot to say about it. That's why we are going to react to this. Yeah.
ताकि जावेद अख्तर साहब के लिए वो अनएक्सेप्टेबल ना हो। तीसरा जो मेयार हो सकता है वो है ऑब्जर्वेशन, कि भाई कोई कहे कि हमें खुदा दिखाओ, अगर है तो दिखाओ, या ये कि खुदा के एग्जिस्टेंस पर एम्पेरिकल एविडेंस दो। तो ये है दर हकीकत गलत टूल का इस्तेमाल करना। ये ऐसा ही है कि जावेद साहब मुझसे ये मुतालबा करें कि मुफ्ती साहब आप मेटल डिटेक्टर के जरिए प्लास्टिक डिटेक्ट,
But like this metal detector and plastic detector one, leaving that aside. But if I ask you, show me God, why can't you show God? Why can't you show me the God? Because you believe in something, right? You believe in this existence of this God. So why can't you? This analogy doesn't fit. You can use this analogy when you argue that science cannot prove or disprove existence of God. I will give it a okay. It's a thumbs up. It's a good analogy, or not a good analogy, but it's a okay analogy. But you cannot say, if I ask you, oh, show me the God, you cannot say, oh, you are a metal detector in the plastic. That is not sound, my dear friend. And there's a lot of problem in this argument. That's why I was so inclined to talk about it. I have tried to talk about it for 2 or 3 times, but every time I try to talk about it, the mic gives up or the voice doesn't come, and that has ruined the experience of it, because I feel like I'm repeating my arguments. That's why I'm trying to make it feel like that we do not watch this whole video, because it would be a bad experience for you. But we watch certain parts of it, and I gave my certain opinions on it. I will be not giving opinion on Mr. Javed Akhtar, because the very simple problem is in this, and I will try to explain this in a very simple way. Right, wait, just fucking wait, right? I'm just do some certain thing so that you understand it. By what I mean, of what I mean when I say something. I just need 2 more minutes, dear friends. So what I was arguing, uh, I forgot. Oh, it took a lot of time.
डिटेक्ट करके दिखाएं। अब चूंकि प्लास्टिक डिटेक्ट नहीं हो पा रही है, लिहाजा
So by the very virtue that the argument that goes on to this, that oh we cannot prove the existence of God because the way we the faculties we have does not prove the existence of God, right? So, good argument, good. But the problem with whatever this whole debate goes on to has a one problem, and that will be always there, which we will see as soon as he starts his argument and we use this thing because I forgot what I was
प्लास्टिक
trying to
डज नॉट
argue. I'm
एग्जिस्ट।
sorry.
नो,
I'm sorry.
यू आर यूजिंग द
I
रॉन्ग
am
टूल।
sorry.
इस टूल से प्लास्टिक को डिटेक्ट नहीं किया, एम्पेरिकल, लिहाजा
And the funny part is, does not tell the what the tool is to know the God. Is the tool is to blindly a blind faith on God, like how does, or how Kant does. He says a postulate you have to believe in God and something like that. So is this the way? If you are arguing, then from a perspective of mine, I can also say let's not have a like we can do a Pascal's wager here, but I don't want to do that because we have a reel on that. So you don't check out my Instagram or YouTube. We will upload it. And thank you. Let's talk about.
मैं समझता हूं कि गॉड के एग्जिस्टेंस पर एम्पेरिकल एविडेंस का मुतालबा करना एक बचकाना मुतालबा है, और हमारे रिस्पेक्टेड जनाब जावेद अख्तर साहब इस स्टेज से अब बहुत आगे निकल चुके हैं।
What? Yes, I was saying that I was not gonna counter Javed Akhtar Sahab because to me, the like just see this understanding. Like we will put it that the Javed Akhtar, the guy that Javed Akhtar is, that the guy Javed Akhtar Sahab is, the Javed Akhtar Sahab person is a, a atheist, right? And that's why, first of all, he does not have, he is an atheist and he doesn't have any onus of proving the existence and non-existence of God. And you can say, why? Why do the service? Because to think of that one day suddenly a atheist like me comes over and say, oh, God, a maximally great being exists. Is God, what comes up with the word God, a maximally great being, but he doesn't exist. Then how? And it would be bullshit because if I don't believe a maximally great being exists, how do I define a God? So it must be a theist who came up with this idea that a God exists, that's a maximally great being, and then he does exist, and then he failed in giving such certain evidences. That's why I, as a person, cannot believe in his argument for a maximally great being that is a God. That's a simple proposition, that's a positive claim, and further he goes on to argue about a negative claim, but there is no negative claim here. I do understand the spectrum, but the negative claim is only because a positive claim fails to justify itself. So negative claim does not get any onus. The onus still resides on you. I do understand what you mean by a negative claim, but the negative claim is just a mere failure, a consequence of failure of that positive claim that you have made. If you if I further if you say something like, oh, a thing exists, like You say, oh, this thing exists and this thing is a maximally great being or something like that. And then you cannot prove its existence. And I say, oh, you cannot fucking prove the existence of this thing. It doesn't exist. I am making a claim. Yeah, I agree. I make a negative claim. It doesn't exist. But does it put the onus on me? No. Because why should I prove its non-existence when you have not proven its existence? And if you have not proven something's existence, the very simple logical inference is that it doesn't exist. Because if it did, you would have proved the existence, and then the onus would be on me. Let's say this exists, you defined it, this exists, and you prove the existence of this. But then I said, "Oh, it doesn't exist." Then I have the onus because you have proved its existence. I can, by my human faculties or by certain way, I can, by my closed eyes, I can just feel it. And then I go on to make a negative claim. Then the onus shifts. Then the onus shifts. You have to understand the very basic line of fairness and how this whole argument works, right? Yeah, going further now.
अब बच
And now I'm why I'm not gonna counter Javed Akhtar Sahab, because I believe Javed Akhtar Sahab's argument is repetitive. He has done those arguments every time. It's very easy to understand, and you have to understand that his argument against God does not come from a philosophical stance. His argument come from his social and a human faculties, that he sees suffering. He sees that how religion interpretations has led to certain social distrust and social uh, disputes in society, and from there he get a distress. Because, and that is a very simple point, a common sensical, a prudent way of identifying, or a god doesn't exist, and that is the only way he tries to do it. There is no philosophical stance to it, there is no rationality, there is only a social acceptance that, oh, these things exist, which a god, if god would be there, wouldn't be there, and these things exist, or god is not there. That is just simply that. That is that. That's why I have no problem with arguing against Javed Sahab, because I already know what he's gonna say. The same alcohol, the same belief and faith logic, whatever he has in his head, the same simple logic that he's gonna make, and that has done fairly good enough for him, and that has done fairly good enough for his belief in the non-existence of God. So yeah, works.
बचता है एक ही स्टैंडर्ड, और वो स्टैंडर्ड है अकल, लॉजिक।
Then the problem is, how do you define logic? What is logic? What is logic? You have to first, if you wanna get into the idea that only way to prove existence of God is logic, then how you define? And then you go on to argue the certain thing that you, I would love to say like you can't, because he goes on to say, if you go to the silence, the ball, the very reason you have the first question that he asked was ball, because by our reason we think that ball must have a reason of existence, a cause of causality. Like that's what humans argue, that these causes and this whatever it is, it's our reason. It did not. It's our reason that we are a reasonable being. That's why we think of it. And the very argument, we don't cannot talk about the reason, the causality of this universe is very simple, because we cannot experience in itself. There is no empirical way to know it. There is no way to know it, because if I can know this was made because I am a human and I can experience making of it, but then can I experience the making of universe? Am I that superior? No. It's something like that. We can understand insects, but if a human brain was stupid, we would never understand human brain itself, because we are stupid, but we can understand animal. It's something along those lines, right? And the second argument that is against contingency is very simple, that I explained before in my one of my YouTube videos, is that, my dear friend, you cannot ask that a god is a non-contingent being, because, oh, because that is a special pleading. There is no way you can argue that the God is a non-contingent being, because even to argue that Earth or the universe is eternal or finite or infinite or eternal or eternal is still a question that we do not know. You assume that Earth, the universe is non-eternal. It began at some point of time, and the beginning must be from a non-contingent being. But when I ask for non-contingent man's beginning, you say it's a fallacy. It's a regress, infinite regress loop. But if we are going to stop the regress loop at a contingent being, why cannot we stop it at an eternal universe? Because you have to choose one of the wrongs. Both are wrong, but you choose on the wrong that you believe. And if you are willing to choose a wrong, I can willing to choose on the wrong, and that is that. It's simple. And that is how this video should be concluded. Like there is nothing more that he goes on to say, except orthodox ideas that is about how the rape is more in Europe in comparison to Middle East, and then he goes on to say the same orthodox moral code, which again doesn't suit. At least in this, where he's trying to portray himself as such scientific theist, and people have been in his praise. And you could just go check the comments because this is no video against him, but this, but I think it's, I felt like I have to say something against not him, but against this whole video because it does not feel like an academic discourse, but rather uh, basically, the maximum audience are from one community. This is political. We are not going to. Osho be like, Osho is not a atheist and he is not a theist as well as he has done something great works, which we'll talk about something which no, mm, this is how education people debate. No, Acharya Prasant and Mufti Sahib. The thing, they were praising him. I don't know the comments have gone down. I guess. All political. We are not talking about politics, but yeah. And let's talk about something that I think I should talk about is that my recent reel on Ramayana has got some views, right? And that has done me a god for a favor that we really don't talk about, and because I think it's important that I talk about it because some people were commenting, oh, that I have not no understanding of it, which is not something that I would love to want to argue, but just as a shake of talking about it because a lot of people did also commented on it and I have a great understanding of it, which is a thank you to every person who said such a thing. Mm, we have a short and these are the videos. Ramayana is more than Ram. Everyone think they understand Ramayana, but they don't. Because now I'm not trying to claim, oh, I understand Ramayana. The thing is that I am trying to put an interpretation because even if you believe it's real history, you believe it's mythology, you believe it's a story, whatever it is, I am free to do an interpretation of Ramayana to my understanding because of to my comprehension, and the same are you. If you do not like this understanding or this interpretation of mine, whatever I see in Ramayana when I read it, then you are free to do the same. You do your interpretation, put it, because I do not, this channel doesn't exist so that here comes this one guy with this white bandana and talk shit. This exists because it is, you guys can also come here and talk about it. And if you would like to just mail me, I will, or message me on Instagram, right? That is that. Let's see this. I do not have Instagram account over here, and that is a problem, but I will just try to, right? Instagram slash thus if it does appear. It doesn't appear thus. Instagram. Mhm. Yes. So some guy over this video because it has. Just can we just not watch this? I would have to log in over that. So I think I will just do this and we will log in. I will just log in over there. So this is the video, right? Ramayana is about a pet, and this got a lot of views on this. But this is still Ram never got married to other women. If he wanted to, he could, but he never. Unlike your puppet, Lord Ram chooses his kingdom and citizen over his personal life. That sacrifice, and to which I commented very simply, who is my puppet? Because I think he is targeting thinking of me as a Muslim, which is not which is untrue. I am a Hindu, right? But then it's still like in a position where we are trying to have a discourse that is, should be academic or at least not as an unpopulist debate, he goes on to assume something. But again, all right, then uh, who just again, the problem with my English is something that I will not understand. But how, I was trying to type, how just is sacrifice if it fulfills social order and does individual wrong, and that was my question, right? If a societal order upholds something that though might be true, might be good, but does not hold an individual right or wrong or morality over that, then that is a problem in the system, and that is what I'm trying to talk about. And that is also what Ramayana tries to fulfill. Like, because if that was not a problem, then Love Kush and their insertion in the story would not make sense. But the writer understands this, that this is a problem the system has done. That's why Love Kush exists, to make them realize they have a problem, right? And the problem is taken care of after it becomes a long time. The Ayodhya people are crying, everyone is crying, and what Sita does, Sita goes inside the earth, she does this, and then we talk about a lot more of this. So that is the question: how the idea of just and just, which sacrifice is worth making and which is not, is to be decided by individual righteousness and morality. Vibhishan did it. If he wouldn't have done, then the Ramayana would not have ended, right? Then this guy goes. He said, bro, make one. I made one of Mahabharat. Then this guy goes, Thursday Indian civilization celebrates Lord Rama's Maryada Purushottam. Uh, not as Sarva Guna Sampanna. Rama is not shown as happy after exile. He is he is shown as lonely, withdrawn, mostly broken. This is not glorification. That is a consequence. Even after doing all that was accepted of Lord Ram, Ramayana does not claim the society thus formed became an idle one, but it is episode where the moral to your question, Ronaldo was flawless in commitment to his chosen ideals. And then he said, he wrote a reply, and to which I replied, because he did a very good discourse and what is understand, and I said that's true. I never said he was happy. I said he chose societal norms over individual righteousness. I'm not trying to question your God, but rather it's my interpretation of the story. I hope this helps. And yes, but I'm not trying to question is that, oh, is Ram really a Purushottam person or not. I am saying he's Purushottam from very societal perspective. And yes, I am idle man from a society's view, because what is idle not decided by me myself, but a societal pattern by societal standards. And he is an ideal person, ideal king from societal instinct of social patterns, social norms, right? And with the moral value societal question, yes, that's why it exists, and that is a very good analysis, and that was I also trying to say in a 2 minute seal, and that is I think I did okay. And then this other guy who also tried to argue against something, but that is not worth it. Like, he assumed that I have not read Ramayana, then I questioned that what Ramayana are you trying to go for? Is it that because there are hundreds of versions of Ramayana, and and he said, oh, you are not accepting your fault, and I said, what's my fault? What is my fault? Is that the only mistake the person you are making is yet you assume that I have not read Ramayana. I could have got into bit more depth talking about Ramayana, uh, because if you go and search Ramayana, you will understand there is a lot of flaws in Ram and the Ramayana, the story that exists, right? But that is not the thing that I'm here to do, because I understand from perspective of mine that these are all stories, and I do not want to do an interpretation where I try to talk about, oh, this is a bullshit story, this is a good story. I'm just trying to come here with interpretation so that you understand that these, whatever God you believe in, are also a product of their own societal morality and are not objective in understanding. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. And yeah, bye. Probably how to cancel this. And before you go, guys, I gotta play some music for you, because nobody watched this, but I think if somebody watches it over some period of time, and I think if some person does, I think he must be uh, with this. I think where I Thank you for joining in if somebody joined it, or if somebody is watching after the live has ended and watching this video while having something or eating something. Yeah, enjoy your food and do subscribe, share this video, and follow for more or subscribe for more.